Welcome to the Intentional Awakening podcast with your hosts, Kathy Brewer and Terry Huberman.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the Intentional Awakening podcast. I'm Terry Huberman.
And I am your co-host, Kathy Groover, and we will start this episode as we do every episode with an angel card. Oh, wow. Courage.
Oh.
Takes me right back to Wizard of Oz. Okay.
Yeah.
Face, and this kind of goes along with what we're going to talk about today. Face what is front of you squarely and fearlessly. Discover the truth held in your heart and act on it.
Wow.
So I'm going to tee up this conversation because this is going to be a big one. So, and we talked about my ayahuasca experience, and I think by the time you and I talked about it, I had discovered that I had a Kundalini awakening. That was what was happening basically during my experience. It was a lovely experience. It was easy. It was calm. It was permissive. I think it's something that's been unfolding for a while. And I had a fabulous experience, but I want, it's me. I want more information. So I was doing research on Kundalini Awakening, and I joined a Facebook group. Got to be aware of these people. I joined a Facebook book all talking about Kundalini Awakening. And as I was reading some of these posts, I was finding more and more posts about entities and nightmares and all of these people that unfortunately were having what seemed to be a horrible experience with the Kundalini awakening and all these attachments and all these beings. And I had called Terry, and we ended up not connecting about this. So my question is, and I have thoughts on this. What do you think about this concept of like demons attaching and entities following you and like torturing you in your dreams and all this stuff? So whoa, you have a face on. I know you got some stuff to say. What do you think about that? Is that something that can happen? Is that a thing that we need to be aware of? How do you know? Tell me everything.
Yeah. So I come from a paranormal investigation background. I don't know if you knew that, but I used to be a ghost hunter. And so we went to so many places and some legitimately known locations of entities and beings and all of that stuff. And I'm going to share with you my experiences with this demonic stuff. And by the way, I have a friend who is a demonologist. So, here's the thing. And this may or may not burst people's bubbles, but a lot of people have an idea of what demonism and entities and all of that is based on the media.
Sure.
Okay. So, and you know that I'm really practical and I'm pragmatic about this stuff. True, authentic entities and demons and poltergeists and things like that, walk-ins, whatever you want to call it, they're actually not authentic. What they are experiential based on the mental body. So we have the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, the spiritual body, and energy moves top down. That's how energy moves. A lot of times when you have like a Kundalini awakening, your energy is getting out of whack and out of balance. And because we live in the third dimension of reality, we can get provoked into the mental capacity. And so based on whatever knowledge is in your mental bank, if that area is poked and there's not necessarily a balance of that energy moving through the emotional, the physical, so you're not moving the energy, and you have tendencies to be a more negative person or to have the information in your mental bank to be not positive. I'm trying to make it as like digestible as possible. You're going to have experiences and they're going to be more mental versus like actual paranormal. If that makes any sense. So a lot of the times the people who are saying they're being taken over or whatnot, it's the mental. And if your ego is also not necessarily balanced, and the ego is his identity, and what is the ego's job meant to do is protect the human, they're having conversations and the creativity is like amazing based on what's in the mental bank.
Mm-hmm.
So what I don't want to say is that there's no such thing as this, but what I want to say is the majority of the time it's a mental health issue
Thank
of
you.
imbalance of energy.
The reason I just said thank you with such relief is I have a background in psychology. I was a psych minor. I read the DSM, at the time it was DSM 3R when I graduated high school because I was going to be a psych minor and I thought I was going to pursue psychology. I went a slightly different route, did the coaching thing, but like I take psychology classes for fun. I read psychology today. I have a huge working knowledge of psychology, of diagnostics, of mental health stuff. And as I'm reading these descriptions of what people were going through from the Kundalini Awakening, my first thought was, you're having a psychotic break.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you need to go see somebody about this because this sounds like psychosis. This sounds like bipolar. This sounds like, and then part of my brain went, well, shit. How many people are in a mental institution because they were having a spiritual awakening and it was mistaken for mental illness? And
Correct.
how many people think they're having an awakening and have had a psychotic break and desperately need medication?
Correct.
Because I don't know the answer to that, but it's like there were so many of these descriptions where, or somebody would say, yeah, I just read that I'm probably not bipolar. I'm having an awakening, so I'm going to stop my meds. And I'm like, no, 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 no. So many people, at least 8 out of 10 of these posts were something where I went, oh, guys, no, 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 don't do that. So I talked to somebody else, which is why you and I ended up not connecting. And they said, oh, there's absolutely entities and they can absolutely attach to you.
I mean, that's also true.
But how common is that? I mean,
it's not common. That's what I'm trying to say is like it's more common to have a mental breakdown than it is to have an actual attachment, a walk-in, a possession, anything like that. And you have to be so mentally and emotionally frail that you cannot set boundaries with the spirit world.
Yeah.
That they're like, it's like then you become like a spiritual empath, but not like a human empath, if that makes any sense. You become the spirit world's bitch if you don't have boundaries. And if you're in a mental, capacity that is not strong, you're going to have experiences, first of all, because this is energy, okay? Everything is energy. But you're going to get clogged or stuck in the mental body, which is where the creativity is, because the more you think something, the more it can actually come to life because thoughts have energy.
Yep.
So, and that's why like thought forms are so powerful. Belief system is a negative thought form or a positive one. So where are you putting your energy? If you're saying, I had this Kundalini awakening and now I have, like I'm being attacked in my nightmares by, this being that has long hair and fangs or whatever, like that's your creativity creating that. But there's a mental and everything is also part of us. So the spiritual aspect is a part of us. Well, you've had such an energetic shift that you don't know how to manage the energy in your body that it's causing a mental health issue. So it's like there's an energetic imbalance, but it marries the mental. So it's not that common.
Yeah.
But you have people, and this is where I'm pissing off a lot of people. I get it.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Who do spiritual bypassing, they're going to immediately go to the spirit world as causing this, and I have an attachment and all of that stuff.
I did a class a couple of years ago at a hypnotherapy conference, and this hypnotherapist, the whole session was about attachments and how to release these things during hypnosis. And I'm listening to this, and there was such a place of almost, look how cool I am. I got rid of these entities. There was it wasn't even an arrogance, but there was this, like almost show off showmanship of I've released thousands of entities from people. And I'm just kind of sitting there going, I've been on this planet not a very long time, but I've been in this kind of work pretty much my entire life, studying this stuff since I was a little kid. I don't know that you've released thousands of entities. But
your little ego to say that.
Right. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah. And that particular person has a need to be recognized and acknowledged. And that's the particular way that they're doing it. But that's a human thing.
Right.
And that's the ego, right? So that's the ego. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say there's not true, authentic paranormal possessions, because there are, and there have been documentations.
Sure.
But they're just not as common as people are claiming. And I stand on that. I stand on that with every fiber of my being. And I am a woo person.
Yes, we are.
And I just, from the experiences that I've had investigating, I've been in places where, yes, I could have been taken over. If you want, my very first experience, I was actually taken over. I don't know if you know my mediumship experience. We don't have time for it, but I was taken over. But I also didn't understand or know that I'm allowed to set a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, I mean, there's so much to this. There's just so much to this. Once I realized I can say no. Oh, now I'm going to talk to dead people all the time, and none of you, even if you get mad at me, you're not coming in here. Sorry, dude.
Not allowed to come home. Yeah.
Not allowed to come with me. No, you're not.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it can definitely happen. Now, I don't know. I'm a very emotional person, very. And I've had to learn how to regulate my emotions. And at the time that I did that, I did not have the emotional capacity to regulate my emotions to the extent that I had now. So it doesn't surprise me that my first time I was taken over.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I couldn't it's like I knew there was a Terrie, but there was this other, and what felt like an entity,
mm-hmm.
and I couldn't leave. Like, I couldn't go back to Terrie until this person said what they needed to say. And then once I said it, I was like back to me. So I do feel like there's a protective angle there too. But
Yeah,
I was supposed to relay this message at the same time, so like I said, there's so many different levels of truth that come to a whole thing. But I can tell you that the commonality that people are saying and all of that, I mean, especially with Kundalini Awakening, you're talking about your energy centers being out of alignment.
Yeah.
And not managed, and they're hooked on, or these people tend to be more in their mental minds.
Yeah. Boy, I'm reading so much of it where I'm like, I think you need to go talk to somebody. But then how do we know that? And that's a whole nother episode of how do we know the difference between, and we're not mental health practitioners, so I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but it's like, how do you know if you're having a spiritual experience or a mental health crisis? I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but that's a great question. Yeah. It's a great question,
Yeah.
Well,
I know people who've been hospitalized because of their psychism. And it's sad because that is a level of truth that happens. But that's why this is all about energy management and awareness and consciousness of what in the wide, wide world of sports is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. Good stuff. All right. Yeah, we're pretty much at our time. Beautiful. Yay, we did it. All right. I am Kathy Groover. I can be reached at kathygroover.coach.
And I'm Terrie Huberman. You can find me at terriehuberman.com. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Intentional Awakening podcast. We'll see you soon.
See ya.